Hello, and welcome to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Juliet the daughter.
That must make me Kevin the dad. And Jules, what did you pick for today?
Well, today's a bit of a tribute episode because I heard one of the members died and I realized that Dad had their stuff. So today we're talking about the animals. Dad, take it away.
And since it's Valentine's Day,
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
we're going to be talking about, and this is just a coincidence, Hilton Valentine,
What?
the guitarist for the Animals.
Oh,
who
that's his
died.
name?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
You didn't know that?
No, I just saw that that a member of the animals had died, but it didn't say his name.
Oh, well, Hilton Stuart Patterson Valentine was born May 21st, 1943 in North Shields, Northumberland, England. His mother bought him a guitar when he was 13, and he taught himself some chords from a book called Teach Yourself 1,000 Chords. He formed his own skiffle group in high school called the Heppers, eventually evolving into the Wildcats. They were a popular local band. In 1963, the Animals were starting to form. At the time, they were known as the Alan Price Combo. They consisted of Eric Burton vocals, Alan Price organ, Chas Chandler bass, and John Steele on drums. Chandler had heard Valentine play and asked him to join the combo. Within a few months, they changed their name to the Animals, supposedly due to their wild on-stage show. And also supposedly they were one of the few bands that could make the Rolling Stones look cuddly in comparison.
Damn, that's a feat.
Yeah, but years later, Eric Burton said it was a tribute to one of their gang of friends, Animal Hog, with 2 G's.
Huh.
Their second single in England, but first single in the United States, was House of the Rising Sun, which went to #1. Valentine's electric guitar arpeggios at the intro inspired countless guitarists. Valentine played with the Animals until the first incarnation of the band dissolved in 1966.
Uh-oh.
He moved to California, tried for a solo career, and eventually moved back to the UK. He was involved with several Animals reunions. He and the rest of the original lineup of the Animals was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1994.
Were they all there?
We'll get to that a little.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
He still put out solo albums going back to his skiffle roots. He toured with Eric Burton from 2007 to 2008 and put out a Christmas album in 2011.
Any good?
I have no idea. Haven't
okay.
heard. I like to think so. He lived in Connecticut and died there on January 29th, 2021 at the age of 77.
Where in Connecticut?
Didn't say.
Probably so we can't track him down. For good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of these British rockers live in Connecticut. Keith
Really?
Richards lives in Connecticut.
Really?
Yeah, he has a house there
So
somewhere.
every time we cross the border to go to Deanna's for Christmas, we're one step closer to Keith Richards?
Yes.
Holy crap.
Uh-huh.
He's somewhere out there.
He's somewhere
lurking.
out there.
But I take more comfort in knowing that Keith Richards is closer to me than Jerry Lee Lewis ever will be. I can deal with Keith. I cannot deal with Jerry Lee.
But that's a story for another time.
Yes.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Okay. As for the rest of the Animals' history, in 1964 they moved to London in the wake of Beatlemania, just in time to play an important role in the British invasion. They signed to EMI Capitol. Their first single was a remake of Baby Let Me Follow You Down, retitled Baby Let Me Take You Home. Then came The House of the Rising Sun, which I said before went to #1. They appeared on Ed Sullivan in October 1964,
I thought so. You can see photos of it online and like thumbnails.
and they sang I'm Crying and House of the Rising Sun. By 1965, Alan Price left due to personal and musical differences, as well as fear of flying on tour.
Oh.
One of those differences may have been that Price was the only one to get arranging credit on The House of the Rising Sun. There wasn't enough room on the label to put all 5 band members' names.
Oh, no.
And Price's first name was the first alphabetically.
Oh.
So he was the only one who received songwriters' royalties.
Oops.
And you hit me with that fun fact of how many times has it been played on Spotify?
Over 477 million times.
So he gets a cut of that, right?
I would assume so. I mean, if not, I think everyone would be suing Spotify.
So he's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, but everybody else,
Not so
not
much, yeah.
no.
Okay, so he left. Mick Gallagher filled in for a short time until Dave Roberry replaced him. At the end of 65, the Animals signed with MGM, which gave them more artistic freedom as Burton wanted to write his own songs. By September of 66, the original members of the group had split. They would now be known as Eric Burton and the Animals. Chas Chandler went on to manage one James Marshall Hendrix.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And Chandler also said that their business affairs, the animals that is, were in a total shambles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Eh.
Well, that's kind of how it was back then. But
Yeah, I know, but it still sucks.
I guess they got the screws put to them more than a lot of other British bands.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Any reason why, or?
Probably just maybe too trusting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Burton and the Animals also changed their sound from hard blues to psychedelia. They had some more hits and more lineup changes. At one point, future Police guitarist Andy Summers was a member.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
In December of 1968, the Animals broke up. There are numerous reasons for this, but I like this one about the aborted Japanese tour that I found on Wikipedia.
Is it true, or is it like an urban legend?
Oh, I
Or a
hope
bit of
it's
both?
true.
Okay, let's go. Let's hear it.
Okay, they had a tour scheduled in September of 1968, but it was delayed until November due to difficulty obtaining visas.
Oh, that's a problem. Yes.
Only a few dates into the tour, the promoters, who, unbeknown to the band, were Yakuza,
Oh no!
Japanese mafia,
Uh-oh.
kidnapped the band's manager and threatened him at gunpoint to write an IOU for $25,000 to cover losses incurred by the tour's delay.
Holy crap.
Now, the manager wrote out the IOU, but correctly surmising that none of his captors could read English, added a note that it was written under duress.
Oh, I see. Okay, so help, help, help!
Now, the Yakuza released him, but warned that he and the band would have to leave Japan the next day or be killed.
So almost like when the Beatles went to the Philippines, but this time we've got the Japanese mafia instead of the Filipino government.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Animals promptly fled the country, leaving all their tour equipment behind.
No, hey, you gotta get out. You gotta get out.
Yeah.
Screw the guitar.
Eric Burton would go on to join the band War for their first two albums. Eventually, the five original members reunited in 1975 to record again. They did a mini tour in 76 and released Before We Were So Rudely Interrupted in 1977 and The Ark in 1983. They played Wembley Stadium opening for The Police. Thanks, Andy.
That must have been cool.
Yeah, well, they had that connection.
Yeah.
Since then, they've had a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction in 1994. Eric Burton did not show up.
'Cause didn't feel like it. Still mad, or
Yeah, any of the above.
oh, okay.
Chas Chandler died in 1996, and the other members put together their own versions of the Animals, kind of like those different versions of the Beach Boys.
Oh yeah.
It's
How
like, okay, he played guitar for a couple of minutes with the band. I guess that makes it official. But for me, it would be, yeah, if Eric Burton's singing, I'll go see that version.
Okay.
As for me, well, the Animals were always one of those bands whose stuff I knew, like the big hits anyway. And when this compilation came out in 2004, it seemed pretty comprehensive. Plus, it sounds great. Now, how the heck ABCO, alias the Alan and Betty Klein and Company,
Oh no.
got their hands on the Animals catalog? I don't know. I'm sure there must have been some
money.
behind the scenes wheeling and dealing.
Some threatening.
Now, here's an interesting ABCO fact. In 2019, after 50 years, Mick and Keith were finally able to extract themselves from the company.
What was it? Was it just tied up in litigation or something?
Well, apparently there's some EU law that states that a company can only hold on to copyrights for 50 years.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, we have federal laws about copyright here, so it makes sense that the EU also has laws about copyright.
Yeah, so the Stones ended up signing with the Bertelsmann Group, and supposedly Bertelsmann administers permission for like all the Stones stuff from like 1963 up to the present day, and ABCO owned I'm just learning English. Owned all the Stones stuff from 1964 to 1971.
So now they have it all back?
It's kind of murky, where it seems like ABCO is allowed to still release the stuff, but apparently Bertelsmann owns it.
So maybe it'll be like one of those things where the Beatles catalog, they get a certain amount of songs back per year. Maybe they're going to do something like that.
I think so, but one of the things that Mick and Keith did once they got free was they restored the songwriting rights and royalties to Richard Ashcroft, who wrote this song called Bittersweet Symphony when he was with this band called The Verve in 1997. And what happened was he had gotten permission to use a couple of seconds of a symphonic rendition of the Stones' The Last Time to use on the song as the hook. And I guess he went over the allotted time of seconds that were allowed.
Oh, like on YouTube where you're only allowed to use like 10 minutes of video clips under the fair use agreement or something like that.
Yeah, so Alan Klein swooped in
Of course he did.
and said, hey, I own your song now. And Mick and Keith are going to get the songwriting rights. And then Andrew Loog Oldham swooped in and said, well, wait a minute, because that was my band, the Andrew Loog Oldham Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah.
Andrew was the Stones manager.
Yeah, wasn't his nickname
Back in the day.
Loog or something?
Loog
Yeah.
Oldham.
Yeah.
Said, well, I want to get some monies too. And he said he got enough money to buy himself a really nice wristwatch strap. Like, he didn't get a lot of money out of the deal.
Oh, okay.
And then poor Richard Ashcroft, he lost out on millions and millions of dollars because on Spotify, that song has been played over 350 million times.
Well, like, I should say, though, the money from streaming on Spotify is not the same that you would get if, like, people went and bought hard copies of the album.
I suppose, but you figure 350 million plays is going to add up.
That's going to be some money, yeah.
So...
and meanwhile, Mick and Keith are probably like, "What? We don't want this to give
well,
it
yeah,
back."
because so their thing was, hey, let's give him all the song royalty rights. He's getting his name back on the song. We're taking our names off the song.
Yeah.
And Richard Ashcroft was just stunned that he couldn't believe that this had happened to him. Like, all of a sudden, the clouds separated and the sun came out and life was good again.
Money,
I guess
money
he had
everywhere.
I guess he had to struggle for some years.
It's like that guy we talked about who finally got all his money back from the mob.
Oh, Tommy James.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the animals.
Okay, so first song.
House of the Rising Sun. A sobering song you can sway to. An odd combination, but it works. I must say, though, for a man from New Orleans, he definitely pronounces it like an Englishman, but it can't be helped. Our opener is about drinking and gambling and how it ruined one man twice. First when he was a kid and his father had gambling and alcohol addictions, and the second time it ruined his life when he went to the House of the Rising Sun as a gambler and an alcoholic himself. I think one reason the music stands out for me is the organ. I don't know how many rock bands use the organ over the traditional keyboard. I mean, when I hear that kind of organ sound, I always think of Billy Preston, just because that's what I'm used to him playing. But the organ works here for the somberness. Then the song picks up in tempo towards the end and starts to hit me a little more. But what's fascinating is, for the most part, the music is soft. Like, if I had to assign it a dynamic, probably mezzo piano. And a contrast with this wailing singer who, for some reason, isn't too loud, even though he's, like, wailing away. I don't know if I like this song, but I am fascinated by its arrangement.
And like I said before, this was the first single released in the U.S., and it hit #1. Just like that. Just like that.
The world's weird that way.
The original length is 4 minutes and 32 seconds, but since radio, you had to be 3 minutes or less. It was edited down to 2 minutes and 58 seconds.
We have the 4-minute one, though, right?
We've got the... Yeah. So I'm assuming that they took out the solos. I've never heard the edited version. And the thing is, like, this is considered the first folk rock song.
Really? This is the first?
This is the first.
Wait a minute. This is before Bob, right?
This is after Bob.
This is after Bob. So nothing Bob wrote was...
Well, I mean, when Bob was doing his early stuff, it was like all folk.
Oh, I see. Not folk rock.
The rock came in later.
Oh, okay.
Now,
the
song itself is an old ballad with origins shrouded in mystery. So over time, it's been covered by a lot of people, even before the Animals.
Okay, like who?
Bob Dylan, who did the cover before the Animals, said that hearing the band's version inspired him to go electric.
Oh, okay.
Nina Simone's covered it, Joan Baez, and Andy Griffith back in 1959.
Really?
Covered it.
How'd it sound?
I have no idea, but I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, we could probably look it up later.
Okay. Now, the band came up with their arrangement whilst on tour with Chuck Berry. They used it as their closing song, and they wanted to do something different because bands always closed out with straight rockers. And so the band came up with this arrangement themselves. And audiences definitely noticed it, and
did they like it, or were they not used to it?
They went crazy for it.
Oh, okay.
Now, the band cut it in the studio in 15 minutes, according to their producer, Mickey Most, anyway. That's what he says. He said that he really didn't produce it. He was there just to make sure he got it on tape. 15 minutes later, bam, done.
No, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Now, the main character of the song, if it's sung by a woman, it's usually from the view of a prostitute. From a guy, it's a prisoner singing their tale of woe. The Animals were the ones who changed it to a gambler to make it a little more radio friendly.
Oh, I see.
Now, the song is in 6/8 time, proving that rockers can count higher than 4.
Yeah, but I've sung in 7/8 time, and that's hard. Have I sung in 6/8 time? But the thing is, when I see 6/8 time, because of math class, I always want to reduce it to 3/4. Yeah, but I'm like, no, it's a different tempo. That's not how it works in music.
Now, the two things that have stood out for me are Hilton Valentine's guitar work and Alan Price's keyboards. And, okay, the third thing, Eric Burton's vocals.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, listen to this guy. It's like he lived it. He's howling in some spots. And the band is relentless behind him. There's like no rest, no respite. Just one of the greatest songs ever made, period. And I think if this was all that the Animals had done, they'd still be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they could go home. Question, how'd they snag a tour with Chuck Berry? Do you know?
I'm sure it was like he was touring England and, hey, I need some band that'll opening band that'll support me I don't have to probably pay too much for.
Ooh, pick me!
Yep, probably one of those kind of things.
Next song, I'm Crying. That hook with the I is perfect. I'm torn between saying that they use it just enough and I want to hear it more. It strikes that balance very carefully and I'm afraid of tipping it over. The vibe I get from this song is after the breakup, this man is finally opening up and he's a mess. He becomes more and more undone over the course of the song. It reminds me of when you keep your feelings bottled up inside and they finally explode. So I get the vibe he's not just crying over the breakup, he may be crying because his partner put him through hell, and now that they're gone, he can finally talk about it. But no one can hear his venting, so he screams louder and louder to no avail. I think this description makes the song sound more depressing than it is, because it still rocks and rolls, but there's a lot to unpack here.
Now, Alan Price and Eric Burton wrote this one. Simple lyrics, simple song, pretty straightforward. For me, the organ is a little too happy for a song called I'm Crying, but Eric's voice carries the day. I mean, he's just, it's all out on the table. His guts are everywhere. Yeah. Nice guitar slashing in spots by Hilton.
It's not like the pretty crying. No, this is the crying where it's like tears are streaming down your face and snot is pouring out of your nose and your chest is heaving up and down and you're all red.
Yeah, it ain't
like,
pretty.
He's losing it.
Yep.
All right, next track. Baby, Let Me Take You Home. I love this song. I know it's from the 60s, but it still gives me a 50s greaser vibe with the leather jacket and the slicked hair, and I love it. I know I look at the greasers with a rose-tinted view, but hey, I can't help it. I love how this song is an unexpected upgrade. He asks to dance, and she asks if he wants to be her man. Thrilled, he says yes, and then he's over the moon when they go home and start bumping and grinding. Man, that must have been the best night of their lives. And the best part is when you hear him say, come on, the pacing increases and increases as he eggs her on, saying it's so good over and over. Not quite Buffy and Spike sexing the house down, but maybe halfway there. Hope they had fun. I'm sorry, that house just must have had weak foundations. Like, it was kind of dusty, but what did they build it on? Like sticks? In order for them to sex that house down and for them to wake up in the rubble?
Well, Sunnydale had a lot of problems.
Yeah, it did. And plus he's a vampire, so that probably had something to do with it. Anyway.
Okay, this was their first single in England, which I can kind of get. Originally, it was called Baby, Let Me Take You Down, written by Burt Russell and Wes Farrell. And for me, it's like bands were putting out songs similar to this in content, like Let Me Take You Home, Let's Dance, whatever. But usually with guys who had pretty voices, and Eric's voice is not cute.
Yeah.
And I think it saves the material and the arrangement. Because you listen to it, and like I said, it kind of makes sense for me that this was their first single, because it's kind of like...
It's what was popular at the time.
Yeah, and like I said, you'd expect like a pleasant voice to be singing this song. And you don't get that, which I like.
No, you get a rocker.
Yeah.
Okay, next song. Gonna send you back to Walker. If this song is a follow-up to Baby Let Me Take You Home, then boy, what a downer. But that probably wasn't the intention. This is just how they ordered the album. Story of this one, guy takes his girl down south to the big city and she becomes a different person overnight. Now, obviously, I'm going to infer that that's southern England and not the southern United States. I think this has to do with her being so thrown off in this new environment that she overdid it and probably became a bit of a pill when people tried to tell her to stop. It's interesting to think about when you move somewhere new, how much does the place change you? Or does it even change you in the first place and just simply bring out a different side of you?
I'd go with the latter, because
Yeah.
I think no matter where you go, you're the same person.
Yeah, in this case, it seems to be the latter because her parents clearly knew what would happen if she went down there. So maybe think twice before you book that plane ticket. But I was no. I'm gonna skip that note because I was like, what's with the animals being obsessed with the American South? But no. This is the British South. I'm gonna assume.
Okay, now the original title of this song was called "Gonna Send You Back to Georgia."
Oh, so it was the American South. So I can ask my question: what's with the animals being obsessed with the American South? I'd love to know the reason.
Oh, I suppose that could be like, it's where the blues came from.
Oh, the rockers came from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, original title was Gonna Send You Back to Georgia, written by Johnny May Matthews and John Hammond Jr. Eric Burton changed it to Walker, which was the name of the district of Newcastle from whence he came.
Okay.
It's a decent blues. It's like Eric's brought his baby to the city, London, one assumes, and now she doesn't treat him right anymore. The bright lights knocked her out, and she's just like,
Zonked.
yeah, she's just going crazy. It's like, oh, thanks for bringing me to the city. I'll see you later.
Sayonara, sucker. Oh.
And it's like, and he's gonna send her back to Walker where she belongs, and he does at the end.
Yeah.
He sends her back. It's like,
Okay, I had enough of you. Off to jail with you.
but it's
Frank-
like, it's like that thing, like, how are you gonna keep them on the farm once they've seen Paris?
Yeah, exactly. All right, next song, Boom Boom. And before I listened to it, I thought of that shrimp from Whole Foods. I don't know. I guess I was hungry. Whatever. So the way the singer pronounces boom boom, it almost sounds like bum bum bum.
Yes.
Which throws you off if you're reading the word because you see two letter O's in a row, but you hear a U sound or an sound coming from the singer's mouth. So you go, The song definitely feels like a heat of the moment song. Steph said in the heat of passion. He may love her body and love seeing her shake that booty, but whether he loves her and not just loves having her on his arm is another story. But we can tell one thing. This dude is burning for the person in front of him, and he needs his desires to be satisfied now, because he is screaming, and you can almost see him panting and sweating as he asks. And I love how the song fades out as if to say, yeah, they're going to be doing this for a while. The song is definitely for the more intense moments in the bedroom, or maybe even for something to get you in the mood if you're looking for something quick and spicy. She won't be the only one shaking when the song is over.
Nah. Okay. This
My
was
little Roy Orbison there.
nice. This was originally a John Lee Hooker blues from 1962, and John Lee was either 50 or 45 at the time when he recorded this song. It's a long story about his actual birth. It was either 1912 or 1917.
No.
The Animals version came out 3 years later in 1965. Now I heard their version first. It's a nice rave up, good solos by Hilton and Allen, great vocals by Eric as usual. Having said that,
Yes.
I eventually bought the definitive John Lee Hooker collection years later, and his version is the shit.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Not taking anything away from the Animals cover. Because the thing about John Lee Hooker is, like, he always, like, fools around with time signatures.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, if you listen to Boom Boom, like, he does this thing where, like, when he's singing, he's off from the rest of the band.
Oh, so is he
But
singing
eventually,
a different...
he catches up. I have no idea how he does it, but he
That's
does.
interesting. Yeah, he's probably... Maybe he's starting a different time signature and then goes to a different one.
It's almost kind of like he just plays whatever he feels like, and it's up to the band to figure it out.
Yeah, or like, if for a more organized way. I was reading Sondheim's memoir recently, and he said when he was working with Leonard Bernstein, he learned for the first time, it was like, wait a minute, we don't have to stay in the same time signature the whole way through, because Bernstein's like doing 3, 4, 7, 8, like all these ones at once, and Sondheim was like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. And it's like, you can do that in pretty much any style of music, but if you do, you really have to be on top of it, so that way you can keep in time with the music, and so it doesn't, like, move along past you. Because with that point, you're basically setting yourself up to being laying track for an oncoming train. so you better be ready when the train comes.
Uh-huh. Now, when John Lee Hooker sings it, he's definitely singing boom, boom, as
Not
opposed
bum
to
bum.
boom, boom, which
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with either one.
Yeah, the British people knew what he meant.
Yeah, John Lee's is more, obviously it's definitely bluesy. It's a lot more stripped down. I don't know if I would play that version for a romantical type mood, but
Whatever.
both
All right.
great, both great versions.
Next track, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. At first I was worried at the start, but then I was put at ease. Because, like, he says he gets edgy and then he sings, there's one thing I'd never do, and I realized, okay, he didn't hit her. I could see this in my head, him putting his arms around this girl as she cries, trying to soothe her and apologizing. This is probably one of the more tender songs so far, because the singer does sound like he regrets whatever it was he said, and it almost sounds like he's going to burst into tears too. But the weird thing about this song is that there's also repetition and a fade out at the end. Because I can see this song having a more definitive ending, maybe with a guitar chord or some drums, but the fade out was just too bizarre. The rest of the song was okay, but what a weird finish. You get what I mean? Like, it worked for the previous song, but maybe not for this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, this was written by Horace Ott, Benny Benjamin, and Saul Marcus. Ott came up with the chorus and melody after having a falling out with his girlfriend, who later became his wife. The writers presented it to Nina Simone, who recorded it in 1964.
Yeah, I saw that on Google.
The Animals version came out in 65. And this song was the one that started to see the band moving beyond blues and R&B more into the pop realm. Nina, of course, hated their version, but came around to it years later.
Yeah.
And there was actually a disco version in 1977 by this group called Santa Esmeralda.
Any good?
That was the first version I heard. It was kind of like almost flamenco, and it had violins.
Okay.
And it goes on for 17 minutes.
What?
Yeah, it took up a whole side of...
Well, it's dance music, so they're
Yeah.
probably giving you time to dance, but still, I don't know if I'd sit and listen to a 17-minute version of this song. Those instrumentals had better kick ass.
God knows what Nina Simone thought of that version.
Oh,
And Lana Del Rey did the cover in 2015.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I love the arrangement.
Of this
And-
one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Bruce Springsteen admitted swiping it for Badlands. And I thought, that song started going through my head. I thought, yeah, that's the same thing. As for the content, I think we've all been there. We're like, I screwed up. I'm sorry. I'm not really like that. I'm just trying to do the best I can. And I just need some help here. And I'm just, you got to help me, please. Yeah. And I think Eric gets it across with sincere pleading. But I thought that was interesting, like you said, like the fade out.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe he's still begging because he just hasn't gotten that answer.
Or maybe she's just still crying. That could be it too. Like, she's gonna keep sobbing.
It's like, stop saying that to me. I just need a minute to get over it. Just stop.
Yeah.
Give me a minute.
I need a minute. Just give me some time. Okay. Next song, Bring It On Home. This song feels a bit too similar to I'm Crying, but also a bit different. Like, this time the emotions being shown are his feelings for this person. I can see him keeping his emotions close and not revealing them. So when the person leaves, they assume it's because he's cold. And then he says, no, I loved you. And now that she's gone, the love is becoming not quite possessive, but he's getting desperate, like he's groveling. I think if I hadn't heard I'm Crying, I'd like this song more. But it's not even variations on a theme. It's like, I've heard this before.
Well, I think it's a terrific cover of the Sam Cooke song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a cover.
And I think Alan Price's piano brings it to church, and so does the call and response singing, which kind of makes sense because that's where Sam Cooke started out. He started out in the gospel group, the Soul Stirrers. Excuse me.
It's okay.
It's like, baby, I'll do anything for you. Just bring your love back home to me. Which is not very churchy at that, but who cares? Great cover. I think Sam would have loved it. I think. But yeah, it's like, it's that thing of, don't know what you got till it's gone, and he's realizing it's like, just bring it on home to me. Yeah, yeah. Come on, please.
No. All right, next song. Excuse me. We gotta get out of this place. This song almost feels like House of the Rising Sun, but this time I don't mind. I guess it's because I like how the singer's voice is different. not quite more mature, but it sounds like a different character and almost like a different person than the one that's been singing on this album up to this point. This song also feels like the moment right after an epiphany, or at least right after a person decides to make a significant change. And the reason for this change? Her. Because he loves her and finally realizes just how much he wants a better life, and not just for him. And it's killing him that he's just finally realizing this now. But damn it, he's gonna fight like hell to get them out of there. And I hope they do. I really do. And it's better to have that realization just to have it than to not have it at all.
Now, this song and the two songs after have something in common. Let's see if you can figure it out. Okay, so the first song, We Gotta Get Out of This Place, was written by Brill building songwriters Cynthia Weil and Barry Mann.
Oh, is that the commonality?
Ooh, you are good.
Yeah, I kind of figured as soon as you said that, and I was like, oh yeah, they were songwriting around the same time as Carole King and her husband Kerry Goffin.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because it was like, oh, I think that's him, but I'm not sure.
Okay, now Mann was going to record it, but the Animals beat him to it thanks to one Alan Klein.
Uh-oh.
He heard the demo and passed it on to the Animals producer at the time, Mickey Most, along with It's My Life and Don't Bring Me Down. The song was popular in the U.S. Armed Forces in Vietnam.
Oh, I can see why they wanted to get out.
Now, on Retrospective, in parentheses, it says U.S. after the song, because there are two versions. And the British, and it's just a minor difference. In the British version, Eric sings "Watch My Daddy in Bed a-Dying." In the U.S. version, he sings "See My Daddy in Bed a-Dying." That's the difference.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, here's the thing. When the CDs first came out, Alan Klein, him again, dictated that the British version be used on all reissues and compilations everywhere.
Because
it was British, I guess, because it was the original.
Okay.
Now, the thing was, collectors and fans wrote letters of complaint saying that Eric had a more angry and powerful vocal on the U.S. version.
Oh.
And so I guess APCO gave in because the U.S. version is on the Retrospective and a budget compilation called The Very Best of the Animals, which I think has just 10 songs. Now, for me, Chas Chandler's bass line is what everyone remembers. Is that enough not to get sued?
I think that's enough. Yeah.
Okay. And, yet again, another great performance by Eric. And have I even mentioned yet what a fantastic singer he is? Because he just is.
He's good. I got no problems with him.
He opens that mouth and you know exactly who it is.
Yeah, distinct.
And, I mean, everyone's felt like this. Just getting out from wherever it is you're stuck. And you see it happen to others and you don't want it to happen to you. And you're like, you've got that special someone like, we're going to do whatever we can to get out of this place if it's the last thing we ever do.
Yeah.
Or die trying or something.
Yeah.
They almost got out. They were this close.
Oh, God, you're saying that and I just listened to Miss Saigon, where in that one, Saigon has just fallen and he's going to take her out of America. So he's got to go. I think he has
to take her out of America?
Not take her out of America. Take her to America. My bad, I misspoke. So I think he goes to the embassy to get their visas really quick.
Yeah.
And he gives her his gun for protection. And he says, okay, get whatever luggage you need and meet me at the gate and we'll go to the helicopter. But she gets lost in the crowd because everybody's storming the embassy, wanting to get out. So he's rushing back from the helicopter to get to her. And it's like the U.S. soldiers are taking off. And so what his friend eventually has to end up doing is because, if they don't leave now, they're dead. His friend knocks him out and carries him on the helicopter. And when he wakes up, he's like, wait, where's the girl I'm going to marry? And he looks down, she's there. He's like, I'll come back. And so, yeah, that's why they're separated.
Boof.
And then
is that how it ends?
No, it ends with her realizing that he married someone else because I guess she thought he was dead. No, he thought she was dead, but she wasn't. She was alive and she had his son. So she goes up to meet him in Bangkok and she meets the wife and she doesn't believe it. She wants to hear it from him. And so eventually they agree that it's okay, we'll pay. The husband and his new wife agree that they will pay to support his son and his first love to have a life in Bangkok so that way they can, have a house, have a home. And then the best friend who, he has a program for I think it's the Boy Doi, the children of Vietnamese women and American soldiers. He says, this is wrong, you need to have him. And Then in the end, the Vietnamese girl, Kim, ends up shooting herself in the head.
The end?
The end.
Oh, you just saved me 2 hours. Thank you.
Well, also, it's based on M. Butterfly. I have some problems with the musical, but I like some of the music. It's mixed to okay. Anyway,
Okay.
so next song, It's My Life. How many rock and roll revenge songs are there? Out of curiosity.
Revenge songs?
Yeah.
A lot, maybe?
Okay, like where they explicitly swear revenge against an enemy or somebody.
Possibly.
Okay, because I like the vibe of this one. Guy's been screwed over by life, and he's going to be serving up some payback to get even. But he's not just saying that. He's saying, this is who I am, and in this world where I can't be anything else, I gotta embrace it. Yet it's safe to bet that this world is what made him this way. Very good guy turns bad vibes. Well, maybe not necessarily bad, but there's definitely a change here to make for a good character arc. And it's definitely one that scared the heck out of his partner because they're crying. I am kind of sad we don't get to see any of the revenge plot because that might have been fun to see. Could have been a great concept album where we follow this guy in some musical killing sprees or revenge sprees or whatever he decided to do. Either way, I wish we could listen to it. Because I'm like, I want to see what this guy's going to do. He sounds motivated as heck.
Okay, this was written by Brill Building songwriters Roger Atkins and Carl Derrico, specifically for the Animals. Chas Chandler on bass and Hilton Valentine on guitar play almost the same line throughout the song. And I always kind of looked at it as like the chorus as like a defiant declaration of independence. Like, or I mean, you figure at the time, this was in the 60s, and it's like, yeah, man, the older generation's not going to tell me what to do, man. It's my life, and I'm going to go out and live it no matter what happens, and, you know, don't push me. But revenge, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted
thought
it.
of it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, great song. You complain, criticize.
Are you singing it to yourself?
No, I'm remembering the wrong song.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. All right, well, let's go to the next one then. Don't Bring Me Down. Oh boy, is this song a mood and a half. We've all been there. We're trying our damn best, but life is giving us crap after crap after crap, and then just when it can't get any worse, a person gets on your ass and says the wrong thing, and it's just the icing on the cake, and it takes all you have not to throttle them. Some people snap, some people break down and cry, some people like this guy just barely hold it together before they let it rip, or at least a little. This song can be summed up as, I'm trying, but just give me some time, and I don't need you to remind me of everything I'm doing wrong, because believe me, I know. In my opinion, just dump her. Toxicity's not fun and your body may need her, but if she's driving your mind nuts and making you an emotional and mental wreck on top of everything else, just leave. It's not worth it.
Now, this one was written by Brill Building songwriters Jerry Goffin and Carole King.
Oh, really?
At this point, though, it was getting on the Animals' nerves that they were getting these pop hits because they preferred the more straightforward R&B songs that they used for album tracks.
But these are still good.
Oh, yeah, they're very good songs. And they were also using a new producer, Tom Wilson, who promised the band more artistic freedom. And, like, after this point, they got that freedom where they were starting to write their own songs. And on the credits for almost all the songs after this one, it's all 5 members of the band getting songwriting credit. Of course, by that time it was Eric Burden and the New Animals, or also known as Eric Burden and the Animals.
Yes.
But they were all sharing in the writing credit. And another memorable Chaz bass line. And you get that fuzzy guitar from Hilton. And Eric starts off singing softly, but then he gets loud and begging on the chorus, like, don't bring me down. And he's like almost totally losing it at the end of the song. And before we go on,
yes,
a word about David Johansen.
Who's that?
He started out as the lead singer for the New York Dolls.
Okay.
And then they broke up. And in 1982, he put out what I consider one of the greatest and funnest live albums ever, called Live It Up. And the show starts off with his Animals medley of We Gotta Get Out of This Place, Don't Bring Me Down, and It's My Life. And he does it in about 4.5 minutes. And we, as a nation, as a planet, are lucky to have this preserved. It's just a great performance. Maybe someday we'll review this album.
Maybe, but I mean, I think...
Not now as that day.
No, not now, not now.
But yeah, it's just fantastic, and I'm surprised. Like at the time, MTV was just starting out, so it's like, yeah, we'll play this. We'll put this on the channel. And the thing was, like, this whole performance was actually recorded for MTV. I want to say as a New Year's performance, but I'm probably wrong about that. But I guess they must have shown the whole concert on MTV at one point. But
Nice.
you know, it's just a great medley. It's just fantastic. Great live album too.
Okay. Next song, CC Ryder. I thought this song at first was going to be about a car wreck or an attempted hit and run at first.
See, Ryder, see what you did? You didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
You did not pay attention. You and your halogen lights, you blinded me.
You're not using your blinker. Sounds like we got an accident on I-95.
Hey, you don't make for use your blinkers over here.
Then I glimpsed a Wikipedia article and realized he was referring to an easy rider or a cheating woman. He loved her and now she's left him. But it seems like they're on again, off again until he finds somebody else. He seems confused, but it seems like she knows what she wants. A good lay. For a fast-paced song, though, I found it ho-hum, and it was like there was something missing. You know? Like a bit too tame.
Could be.
Yeah, considering this is a song about an on-again, off-again relationship, and probably what I'm assuming for her at least is some bomb-ass sex, then, I don't know. Maybe it can't, like, it needs some grit. It needs something.
Well, this is an old folk blues song, first recorded by Gertrude Ma Rainey in 1924. And
Ma Rainey from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom by August Wilson.
And
Okay.
she gets the writing credit.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Good.
And this is also referred to as C.C. Ryder.
C.C. Ryder.
Yeah, like the letter C.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the word.
No.
C.C. Ryder. Okay.
The letter C. Ryder, which stood for either Church Circuit Rider, which was a traveling preacher. They didn't have their own church. So they were not only spreading the word, they were probably spreading their seed.
Nice.
And it could also refer to the county circuit riders, who were attorneys who followed the circuit court judge. Because back in the day, like, everyone was far apart and you couldn't have people come into a courthouse, attorneys, so they would just ride. They would just do what they called the circuit.
Yeah. Hence district courts and then circuit court.
Or it could mean, which it probably does, easy rider. Anyway, you get the idea. It's someone who loves them and leaves them. And it's been covered a lot of times. And Elvis Presley, not Costello, used to open his shows in Vegas with it.
Any good? Is there recording?
It was definitely fast-paced. It definitely has that Vegas kind of feel to it. And there was actually a movie made called C.C. and Company with, I kid you not, Joe Namath and Anne Margaret.
What year was that?
It probably had to be late 60s, early 70s.
Any good?
Don't know.
Not willing to find out?
Know.
Okay.
Joe Namath in acting? I don't know.
Okay.
Joe Namath in football? Yes.
Well, there were a lot of football actors. Like Marlon Olsen was one of them, and he wasn't that bad.
What did he do? Little House on the Prairie?
Little House on the Prairie.
And Father Murphy?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was like the follow-up series.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, the Animals do a good blues version of it. And, you know, Eric's been used and abused, and he's going away, and he's not coming back in the fall. And if he finds a good-looking woman, he's not going to be back at all. But is he really going to forget Cece? Probably not, because it's like he's not coming back to the fall where maybe enough time has gone back that he can get used and abused again. Oh, yeah.
All right, next song, Inside Looking Out. So we have the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Yet the song and the way it's performed doesn't really fit the lyrics, because he compares his girl to a reefer. But weed doesn't make you, well, depending on what type of weed you take. But when I think of weed, I don't think of being energized. I think of my friends being relaxed and craving Taco Bell at an ungodly amount at an ungodly hour. I picture him singing this to a gordita. Anyway, then again, sex does relieve stress, so maybe the aftermath of sex is enough to calm him down and he collapses back in bed. But the main point he's trying to get across is that he's addicted to her. Because even though life is rough and work is killing him, he knows he can go home and get it with her. But then again, weed isn't the gateway drug everybody believed it to be. So I don't know. I think it's supposed to be flattering, but it just comes across as kind of sad.
So what is the gateway drug then?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay, now this was the group's last single with John Steele on drums. He'd be replaced by Barry Jenkins. And the band plays hard and tough, echoing Eric's state of mind. Now, this was based on an old prison work song, and it kind of sounds like it,
I could see it.
like he sings about when his time is up and thoughts of freedom driving him wild. It's just like he just cannot wait to get out.
Like he's in the chain gang.
Yeah, and like thoughts of his baby keep him going. And I thought, gee, I hope she doesn't run off.
Oh yeah, it's like in Les Mis when they sing, "I know she'll wait, I know that she'll be true," and the prisoners sing, look down, they've all forgotten you."
Yeesh.
Yeah, and then my favorite, this guy's like praying, "I've done no wrong, sweet Jesus, hear my prayer," and the guys are going, look down, sweet Jesus doesn't care.
But I think she's there at the end. The way the song ends, anyway, I kind of got that feeling that, hey, she's still there. Good for him. Good for her.
Maybe. All right, next song. Hey, blank. All right,
It's not what you think it is.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's okay to say.
Okay. Hey, Jip. But here's something interesting, though. These past two songs don't reference their titles at all. Some songs don't. But it's interesting that this seems to be like a recurring pattern. So I kind of don't like this song. Buying stuff for your loved one or your sex buddy is one thing. But, what, you've never heard that?
Sex buddy?
Yeah, sex buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Oh God. Okay. So.
That's all I'm gonna think about now because Morgan calls me buddy every once in a while at work. I'm
Morgan, I'm so sorry. All right, but anyway, it feels like in this circumstance he's trying to buy her. Like he'd buy her a necklace. Like him saying he'd buy her a necklace or buy her dinner didn't work. So now he's upping the ante until she says yes. We don't know how the woman he wants to get with feels about this. So we can only assume. And then when they do the deed, it feels too subdued, but maybe that's to signal that either they're not into it or it wasn't worth it. And reading the lyrics on the page, you'd expect something more fast-paced or with more grit. But this was too middle and it didn't really grab me. Okay, so what does the title refer to since they don't sing it?
Hang on.
Okay.
This is the last song on this compilation on which Hilton Valentine plays guitar. Now, it was written by Donovan, who did Mellow Yellow and Sunshine, Superman, and Season of the Witch, which is my favorite song by him. He was kind of like hippy dippy trippy. Anyway,
yeah.
He wrote this song about his best friend Jip Mills.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Now, like you said, it doesn't say that like the song title is not mentioned in the song, but I'm just assuming that Jip is the one who's supposed to be singing the song.
His friend?
I guess like he's met this woman and he's kind of like Chevy, Ford, and Cadillac must have loved this song when it came out because it's free advertising. Because he's like, I'll buy you a Chevy, I'll buy you a Ford, I'll buy you a Cadillac if you just.
Have they used it in their commercials, or would they get in trouble for mentioning like another car company at the same time?
I think there was some sort of advertising print advertising campaign that Chevrolet had years ago, where they would print lyrics of songs that reference their brand.
Yeah.
And I think this is one that they might have used.
Okay. All right.
The woman in this song is gonna make out. She's getting 3 cars in a house.
Yeah, but does she want those things? That's the one thing I don't know. Like, does she want it, or was she refusing some of this guy's earlier offers and she just wants him to go away, so he's upping the ante, finally hoping she'll say yes, and she's giving in to just leave him alone?
Or is she taking him for all he's worth? Yeah, okay, I got the Chevrolet. Yeah, I'm going to withhold my favors until he comes along and says, "Oh, look, I'll buy you a Ford now if you just give me some." And okay, let's see the car first. Okay, yep, here you go, pal. And then, yeah, what next? Oh, Cadillac? Oh, yeah. And then, what, a house? You going to buy me a house just for a little...
But then when they get to it, I could see her, like looking at her watch. Or, like, looking at the clock.
Yeah,
like,
I think
wrap it up.
Yeah, but I think I've earned that house now. Yeah, so, yeah. Well, off with you then, peasant.
Well, he's a peasant now after buying her all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean... To me, this song almost has like a Bo Diddley feel to it, like the instrumentation, sort of. I like how the song builds up an instrument at a time. And great drumming by Barry Jenkins. They replaced John Steele very well.
Okay, next track. Help Me Girl. The opening lyric sounds insulting. Have you ever been so hungry that you had no pride? Like he took one look at her and thought, yeah, she'll do. And he's upfront and honest about it because right or wrong, he needs it. I'm kind of getting bored of the singer's blue balls at this point. Like, dude, you could take matters into your own hands, pun intended. And the music does have a bit of a groove to it, but not one that bumps and grinds, more like one you can snap to. And snapping to music is fun, but it feels weird considering the subject matter.
This song was just built to Eric Burton because he actually put out a 1967 solo album called Eric Is Here.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Jenkins is the only other animal playing on it, which I can see because that guy could drum.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it has a different un-animals-like sound to it, like especially with the horns. I mean, you don't hear them in like any of the previous songs that we've gone through. And it's like, yeah, Eric just can't get a break. And it's like, on quite a few of these songs, he's working himself to death and he just needs that one woman to help him carry on. And like, you know, no pressure on her. But you'd think after a while he'd get the idea of, like you said, like, yeah, maybe I should just kind of do this on my own. But maybe he just needs some sort of reason to carry on.
Maybe.
Like he needs to look within to carry on. As opposed to, like, you can't, not to get all touchy-feely, but you cannot rely on others for your happiness. You have to make it your own.
Yeah, because if you rely on others for happiness, then you eventually lose yourself. You lose yourself in them.
And that's about as Dr. Phil as I'm going to get.
Okay, well, Dr. Phil's a bit of a quack now anyways.
Really? What happened?
Oh, I think it was like they found out he was exploiting people who were appearing on his show or something. It was bad. But the thing is, people...
Like to milk them for more ratings?
I think so, yeah. And then, but the weird thing is, you remember those Thirst Tweets videos I showed you from BuzzFeed, like with Jeff Goldblum, where people were reading stuff that people post about them on the internet?
Yes.
There's one with Dr. Phil. And he had to come out with a video. There's audio for it where he's like, please stop calling me daddy. And he's like, I appreciate it, but I think it makes your real daddy sad. And I was like, really? Him? Okay, internet. That was where I was like, okay, I've had enough internet for the day. Anyway, next song, When I Was Young. I love the music in this song a lot.
Yeah.
The intro builds, then comes in that guitar solo and a surprising violin, and they keep peppering in guitar riffs and drum solos. The lyrics are okay, but I like the story they tell about how when the singer was a kid, he did have fun smoking and chasing pretty girls, but also because of his environment, he had to grow up fast. It strikes that balance perfectly. Would I listen to this song all the time? I don't know, but if there was an instrumental version, I might just listen to it so I could hear all the musical surprises that the band plays in the background. And one thing I love about this song is him talking about smoking at an early age, because people are like, oh, kids don't smoke, but it's like, no, they do. As soon as, like, some kids don't, but some kids, where as soon as they find their hands on a cigarette, they'll start smoking. And, like, you know, especially like with Grandpa growing up in Portugal, sometimes it's just part of the culture where kids just start smoking really young.
Oh, yeah, it was probably a lot easier back then. I mean, nowadays it's probably tougher.
No, I mean, for one, there's a legal limit on cigarettes, and two, everybody knows what they can do to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now this was written by Eric and the rest of the New Animals, but I think mostly Eric because it's very autobiographical, like about his father being a soldier and going through tough times. And my favorite line, though, is, I met my first love at 13. She was brown, and I was pretty green. Oh, love that. Love that. And he turns disillusioned at the end. My faith was so much younger then. I believed in fellow men, and I was so much older when I was young. And he sounds so bitter, too.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he's only like 26 years old when this song comes out, but he's probably been through a lot.
Sounds like Mitch.
And Evil Mitch?
Evil Mitch, yeah.
Hi, Evil Mitch. And yeah, it has that Indian sound with the violin and the guitar.
I don't know if it's supposed to be Indian, though.
What kind of...
I mean, there's one song where they have a sitar.
Yeah.
But that's not this one.
I don't know.
I think
to me, it kind of has that sound. I mean, not as pronounced as other songs because it's not on a sitar.
Yeah.
But I'd say this is probably influenced by the Beatles. And
I think the sitar one might be more so.
Well, I think this one, we'll agree to disagree.
Okay.
Even though I'm right.
Yeah, right.
Great Angry Young Man song.
Yeah. All right, next track. A Girl Named Sandoz. Now this is interesting. A song about a sexual mentor, the person who teaches a newbie all the tricks of the trade. It would be interesting to see if this is based on a true story or not. However, what I want to know is, how old was he when he met her, just to be sure there's nothing predatory going on? But it reminded me of this article in a British tabloid about Peter O'Toole's sexcapades, when he said he learned everything he knew from a prostitute he met when he was 13. He did say her name in a different article, but I can't find it anywhere anymore, and it may have been taken down. Whether or not the article was taken down because it was reported he had an affair with Princess Margaret, I have no idea.
What?
Yeah! That's the report, but again, it's from a British tabloid. I don't know how true it is, but there's photos of them together. Can't prove anything. We don't know. Might just be an urban myth. Whatever. Anyway, but here's the question I have about the subject matter of this song, and I want to know if this is true. How come predatory women aren't as abhorred as much as predatory men? Or even if it wasn't predatory, if in both parties the young man and the young woman were legally adults and everyone was consenting, why is it that the older man is more likely to be viewed as more of a creep than the older woman? I mean,
I think it's because a male-dominated society where it's like, oh wow, older woman, she's teaching me things.
I also mean you don't hear the phrase "dirty old woman" as much as you hear "dirty old man," do you? Just something to think about.
That is true.
Yeah, I mean,
what would you hear
for an older woman who likes a younger man? Well, if the guy's like 20 and she's significantly older, like as long as it's legal age, then the woman I guess would be called a cougar. But nothing. I don't know if there's a term for dirty old woman or not.
Listeners, help us.
Help us. We'll go on Urban Dictionary later. But anyway.
Okay, well, Sandoz was the Swiss pharmaceutical company that invented LSD.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well.
You had a good theory, though. That was very interesting. Yeah. I'm not taking anything away from that.
Right.
That's a very interesting take on this song.
See, my innocent brain just went over my head.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's also the 60s, so that term's probably fallen out of use in terms of LSD.
My mind has wings. Oh, wow, man. Yeah, and the music has a druggy sound to it. And the thing is, like, Eric Burton says he can't take this song seriously now because it's like,
when you're sober, it means something different.
Yeah, because he's like, it couldn't go on forever. Like he said, definitely at the time that he wrote the song, they were definitely into LSD. But he said, how long can you keep doing that?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, like, burst your...
No, it's okay. I like my interpretation.
I like it too. I kind of like it better than the real.
Yeah.
And Sandoz, the pharmaceutical company, I did some research on Wikipedia.
They're still around?
They're still around. They've gone through a lot of name changes, and unfortunately, I cannot forget what they are called now, but they are like a pharmaceutical giant.
Oh, yeah, they're probably pumping money into Congress so that way we can never find a cure for cancer or anything, because there's... What?
But they are They are Swiss-based. They're
they're Swiss.
Yeah, they are Swiss.
Maybe.
Unless their tentacles reach out worldwide.
I don't. Maybe they also have an American company or something.
They could be.
I don't know. Well, we'd have to look it up. Okay, next. San Franciscan Knights. Fun fact: since the pandemic, San Francisco has become less expensive to live in.
What?
So yeah.
Really?
So it was in an Axios article I read. So there's no better time to buy a house in San Fran or an apartment in New York for that matter. Because Fran Lebowitz was on The View and she says prices for an apartment in New York have never been lower. So if you want to come to New York, come now.
We have to finish that series.
We do. All right. But this song definitely makes me want to go to San Francisco when it's safe to travel again, because I've never been. Mom says that technically I have, but that was while she was pregnant with me, so I couldn't exactly have the full experience.
Yeah, everything must have looked pretty dark to you.
Yeah. I also think it's nice to have a group not from America pay tribute to a city in song, because the city means something entirely different to them than it does to a California resident. Kind of like when Americans write about Paris and how beautiful it is. It's not written this... Now, this song, Franciscan Knights, is not written in the same style as a song like, say, New York State of Mind, because Billy Joel was from New York and could go more in depth with his lyrics, whereas the Animals can only write about the aesthetic they experienced while visiting. It's kind of nice to know that there are places we take for granted, but that songs like this can remind us why we fell in love with those places.
The intro is straight out of Dragnet, unintentionally, but
really?
it is also unintentionally hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, the story you're about to hear is true. And he would just... Jack Webb would just go on with this monotone.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the Law and Order SVU intro, like the cases you're about to see. Da-da-da-da.
Exactly, exactly. But it always cracks me up with save up all your bread and fly Trans-Love Airways to San Francisco, USA, which TWA must have thought that was hilarious.
I don't know. San Francisco has like a lot of bakeries now. I mean, you saw that Paul Hollywood episode that I showed you. You probably don't need to save your bread and take it to San Francisco with you. Unless it's a term, it's synonym for money. So save your money and go to San Francisco.
Oh my God, I'm so old. Yes, that's what you used to call money back in the 60s, man. It was like your bread, man.
Well,
you
that's
save
how
up
you
your
earned your
dough, you
bread.
save up your bread.
Oh,
Man.
oh, that's why they say dough.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yep.
does not get more 60s than that. People, San Franciscan residents mostly, jumped on Burton and the band about warm San Francisco nights because there's no such thing.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's really cold
Because they're
there?
on the bay. Yeah.
So it'll get freezing.
Yeah. Now, Mark Twain, who was not alive to see the animals, said that the coldest winter he ever spent was summer in San Francisco. But the thing was, like, the animals were playing in San Francisco during a rare 10-day stretch of warm spring weather. So that's what they experienced. That's what they wrote about.
Knew, yeah.
Maybe if they had stayed on day 11, it would have just been like, oh my God, it's so freaking cold here. What the hell happened?
Why didn't we bring a coat?
And I mean, when your mom and I went, it was like you'd get up and it would be foggy AF.
Well,
but then usually about maybe 11 in the morning, it would all lift.
Yeah.
But yes, definitely chilly at night.
Yeah.
And after that dragnet opening, you'd expect it to be more intense, but things automatically get mellow.
But also, where is San Francisco, Northern California, Southern California?
NorCal.
Okay, so that makes a lot more sense. Because if it was SoCal in the LA area, I'd be like, that doesn't make sense.
That's definitely not going to happen down there.
No. All right, next.
So I like like I said, things get pretty mellow. You get that. And
okay.
I've always liked the song, but I've never liked the way that it ended. It just has always seemed abrupt. Like there should be more there. Like he wanted to sing more about San Francisco, but it just kind of cuts off.
Maybe he realized he didn't have anything to say and was like, better cut it there.
Yeah, I suppose, but it just seems like an unfinished piece to me. I mean, I like the song. I will always like it, but it just seems like it just got cut off.
Next track, Monterey. It's nice to see Ravi Shankar being mentioned outside the context of his relationship with George Harrison and the Beatles.
Oh, I thought you were going to say outside of relationship with Nora Jones, whom he fathered.
What?
Oh, you know what? Ravi Shankar is Nora Jones' father?
No, who's Nora Jones?
Oh, she's this kind of like jazzy type singer who was popular towards the end of the 1990s.
Oh, so his other daughter has a half-sister, I guess.
I guess.
Okay. So, I did some Googling. This is a reference to the Monterey Pop Festival in the summer of love in 1967. What? I stole it from you?
You're very good.
Okay.
Very good.
Which I have mixed feelings about because I know it was supposed to be all about peace and love, but it kind of fizzled out.
The song or the peace and love?
The peace and love, like the anti-war movement.
We're gonna get to it.
So this song feels like a tribute to the musicians who tried to do something with their music. And by tried, I mean gave it all. They got and poured their blood, sweat, and tears into the music. And for a moment, everyone was united. But the sad part is that it was only a moment, so that's why it feels like he was dreaming. Because like a great dream, it was over too soon. Like, I know it was supposed to be the summer of peace and love and the flower children and the hippies and the anti-war movement, but it never went anywhere, which is the sad thing.
Well, the Animals did play the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967, like you said, the Summer of Love, unlike 1968, the Summer of Hate.
Oh yeah, 68 was a rough year.
It was a riotous summer, pun intended.
Well, yeah.
They wrote this song as a tribute to their experiences there and about the musicians who played. And I like how the musicians mentioned are represented by the corresponding instruments.
Oh,
like,
nice.
He mentions Ravi Shankar, you get the
Sitar.
you get they mentioned Hugh Masekela, you get his trumpet.
Did they reference Jimmy?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Jimi Hendrix, The Who, and they sound just like them.
What'd they do for The Who? I didn't hear it.
It was just like, these loud guitars and the drums.
Yeah, that works.
Wait a minute, you didn't hear it. Are you sure you listened to this song, right?
Yeah, I did, but I can't remember it right now.
You should go back and re-listen to it.
Okay.
Where was I? It's I mean, for me, like it's like you're getting more songs in one song, albeit briefly. And, as dated as this song is, because, next year in 2022, it'll be 55 years since Monterey.
Wow.
Burton does make a good point. You want to find the truth in life? Don't let music pass you by.
Yeah. All right, next track. Anything. This song,
Anything.
anything.
Anything?
Anything.
Almost.
This song is about what you do for the people you love in your life. And I think they did a good job in picking the groups that almost everyone could relate to. Their friend, their hero, their loved one, and their son. Not sure why son is the only one that makes explicit reference to gender, because the first three are left up entirely to your imagination. But for the most part, I feel like people listening to this song can fill in the blanks themselves with the people who also mean the most to them. As for the music, it feels like almost a slow dance, but I don't know if it'd be appropriate to slow dance to since it references 4 people in 4 separate stanzas, but it's still a sweet song.
Yeah, it's a ballad with strings. Now, Eric said he wrote this. He was feeling pretty mellow at the time. He got married and he felt grounded, and it was his first marriage, and it was very brief because his wife left him for Jimi Hendrix soon after.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Didn't even make it a year, I think.
And did she remain married to Jimmy until he died?
Jimmy never got married.
Oh, so were they just partners or something? Or?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, you don't have to be married.
Yep.
Yeah.
And see, for me, I've always had a problem with like someone promising someone else, I'll do anything for you, because that other person could come up with something completely awful and say, oh, hey, you'd say you'd do anything for me. Are you going to go back on your word now? Like in the song, you're not going to shine my shoes or kiss my feet? Come on. You said you'd do anything. Come on. I'm holding you to that. I'm holding you to that. To me, that's like, yeah, okay, you're in love and you're feeling like, oh, I would do anything for you. But what if that person calls you on it?
Like what if it's Much Ado About Nothing, where she asks you to kill your best friend? Yeah, as he says, not for the wide world. But then eventually decides to do
I gotta do this for Jane because she asked me, because I said I'd do anything for her, so I'm really sorry, but...
Close your eyes, it's gonna hurt!
Hold still.
Hold still.
I mean, for me, this is... It's an okay song. You know, I'm glad Eric was in his happy place at the time. And
Well, that didn't last long.
It definitely comes across, albeit briefly. And it's an okay song.
Yeah. Next song, Sky Pilot. This song reminds me of a TikTok I saw where soldiers were asked one question. What would you tell your military recruiter? And most of the answers were, F off.
What do you mean?
Like the people who joined the military, what would you say to the person
Who talked you into it?
Who talked you into it or helped you sign up? Now, why did they say this? They felt they'd been cheated and lied to about what being in the military would bring them. Because I guess one of the popular things is like they'll tell you, oh, you probably won't go to combat right away. You'll probably be stationed somewhere out in Germany or somewhere in No,
not in this day and age.
So yeah, they felt like they'd been cheated and lied to about what being in the military would bring them. You definitely hear the transformation in this song as the soldiers go from young boys with their heads filled with military propaganda to coming home being beaten and broken and wiser. What's also interesting is we're not told what country these boys are from or who they're fighting against. All we know is that there's a sky pilot who I think is supposed to be the personification of the military propaganda about how you can be this flying ace and how he's supposed to be inspiring to the recruits. But when they get into the battle, it's not like what they were being told at all. And the best part of the song is the instrumental and how it gradually gets drowned out by noises of the battlefield before bagpipes start playing. They're either mournful bagpipes playing a dirge, or they're being played at the military parade that the soldiers can't hear, which might be a reference to PTSD, because all they can hear is the noise of war in their head. It's a song that's all too real, but it's important for everyone to listen to. Mm-hmm. And what year was this written?
This is an epic from 1968.
Okay, so America.
So I did a little research on this, and the Sky Pilot is a military chaplain who blesses the boys before they go off to battle. Oh, he's the one who stays behind, and they talk about, you'll never reach the sky because you're not physically flying. Yeah. You're just behind. Eventually some come back with one soldier remembering the words, "Thou shalt not kill." Uh-oh. And it's the Royal Scots Dragoons Guards play All the Blue Bonnets Are Over the Border on bagpipes.
Oh, wow.
Now, the thing is...
What?
There's some sort of, I don't know how true this is, but supposedly Eric Burton secretly recorded the guards playing this song and put it on Sky Pilot.
Uh-oh.
And the military lodged a complaint. And
yeah.
That's kind of as far as it went.
Okay.
The song was split in half when it was released as a single, so you got parts 1 and 2. Now, part 1 was a little less than 3 minutes, and part 2 goes on for 4+. So I'm not sure exactly where they would split the song, but they managed to split it somewhere.
I don't. I can't picture it being split. I think you have to do the whole thing all in one go.
And I think it starts off interestingly, like just a cappella with just Eric Burton singing. And then, since this is a battle song, okay, more like an anti-war song, you know the music's going to build. And it does around the 3-minute point with the music battling audio of guns, planes, and bombs and the Scots.
And it's all in your ears. You can't, like, escape it.
Yeah, it's the Scots Guards. And it's just this big, loud mess, like I'm assuming war is. And then, at the 5-minute mark, it kind of calms down. And then the final choruses come in, and it's like military fifes and horns in the background. And I'm going to say it.
Okay.
I'm going to say it. I think if it wasn't for Sgt. Pepper era Beatles, I don't think a song like this would have been possible.
Okay,
yes.
I could see that. That's fair.
Yeah. And I know, like, I'm pretty sure this is like Mike's favorite Animals song, just for the enormity of it. Like, there's just like so much going on in this song.
I could see why this would be people's favorite. Absolutely.
I mean, like I said, it's an epic. It is just like so big.
But also, this kind of reminded me of the Harkavagra comic, where she was talking about how what was it? World War I pilots were kind of looked on as heroes, and the only reason they were heroes was because they were the only ones who didn't die in the planes. So Kate Beaton drew this comic about him meeting new recruits or like little kids, and it's like, what do we want to do if we want to be a hero like you? Just don't die. Yep. Survive. And it gives them the thumbs up. Next song, White Houses. I see this song to be about how people perceive the world and how it's what they perceive is not always necessarily true. So the message of this song is, get it straight and learn the truth for yourself. Real life isn't like the pretty little white houses in the suburbs, and there's a lot going on in the world you need to learn if you want to understand who you are and how you got here. It's something everyone should learn by researching our history and by listening to others who force us to have uncomfortable conversations. So part of the song is stressing the importance of educating yourself and really paying attention to your surroundings, not just noticing them, but really observing and listening. It also seems to be saying check your privilege before that was even a phrase uttered by people who have no intention of doing so.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, musically it's mellow time again.
But it's serious though.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's like those middle class types ensconced in their white houses while everything around them is turning to crap.
Yeah.
And I think singing the lyric "You better get straight" in 1968 was pretty daring because it's like,
wake up.
Well, I look at it as like, oh man, I don't want to get straight, man. I want to get high, man. I kind of look at it as
I see.
As that, which, like I said, I think is pretty daring, but I think like Eric meant it more like be aware of what's going on around you. Try to get involved with the world. Be a participant, not a spectator.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's no. It's still true even today, especially now in social media, because there's a term called Clicktivism, where people basically think that posting, let's say, an article on social media or a post from an organization such as Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, or posting, say, a GoFundMe fundraiser or a Kickstarter, is the same thing as being an activist. And the thing is, it's not, because you still have to do things in person. You still have to get face to face with people if you want to make a change. Like, you still have to physically demonstrate. It does feel like you're doing something a little bit, because, it shows that you consider yourself aware of this, but one, social media is just an echo chamber, and two, one Facebook post or one tweet or one Instagram pic doesn't amount to much in the grand scheme of things.
Because there's millions and billions out there, and it's just going to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, exactly. But also, some of the things that you may see, like even some of the articles, they only get into the surface of what's going on. Like, they don't, how do I put this? Say you see an article about Black Lives Matter on the internet. You may read the article and feel informed, but also, at the same time, you're not aware of the various socioeconomic issues in this country that have caused a movement like this to come about and how it's built up over the centuries and over the decades. So there's a false perception that, I know what this is all about, when really you have to educate yourself more. And then when you educate yourself, you can really say, I understand. I want to know more and I want to help you. Mm-hmm. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what they're saying is, it's not enough to sit around. You actually got to do something.
As James Brown once said, get up, get into it, get involved. Yes.
That was
nice.
That wasn't really. It wasn't one of my better ones because he has like a little but whatever. All right, final track. Spill the wine. I've heard of spill the tea, but never spill the wine. Anyway, this is one of
What
those
is
songs.
spill the tea?
Spill the tea means you have gossip. Like, oh, what happened? Spill the tea.
Oh, so you're gonna like
Yep.
actually like make a mess?
Kind of, yes. Like, I remember there's like sometimes if something is extra loaded, people say, "Wow, they didn't just spill the tea; they knocked over the whole damn container."
Aha.
Yeah. All right. So, this is one of those songs where you feel like you're not alone in having some batshit crazy dreams. We've all had them, but I don't know if this is the first song to write about weird dreams that weren't weird because they were under the influence. Then again, maybe they were. I don't know. But this also seems to be both a sexy dream and a weird dream that becomes more and more a sexy dream as time goes on. So I'm gonna say, I'm surprised that Big Mouth hasn't capitalized on this song yet with some far-out animated sequence. But hey, next season still has to come out, so maybe they'll use it. Who knows? My money's on Andrew being the one who dreams it, because that kid's just been through the ringer, and they keep having him go through more and more and more.
Yeah, but poor Andrew would just be spill the sperm.
Probably.
It probably will come to that.
Now I'm just thinking of when he was at the memorial service for his
Oh, good
grandfather.
God. Okay, now, this song, as great as it is, and it's a great song, should not be on here.
Why? What's the
Should
matter?
not be on this compilation
What's
because
the matter?
this is not Eric Burden and the Animals. This is Eric Burden and War.
I saw that. Is that a different band?
Completely different band.
Okay, then why put it on here?
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
The song was inspired by keyboard player Lonnie Johnson accidentally spilling wine on a mixing board.
Oh, that's gonna cost a lot of money. That's coming out of his paycheck.
The song itself is trippy AF. Hippie falls asleep in a field of grass. Dreams he's the star of a Hollywood movie, naked to the world in front of every kind of girl, and this one woman comes up to him and tells him to, well,
Spill the wine.
you know.
Yeah, but also, has anyone translated the Spanish that's spoken in the background in the song? I'm assuming it's Spanish.
No, it definitely is Spanish. Some friend of Eric Burden's, she provides the Spanish in the background. But yeah, this is War. Again, it's a great song, and it should be on a War Best of, which it is, and which I have, and maybe someday I will review that in its proper context. But today is not that day.
Okay, I'm looking up the Spanish lyrics right now to see if I can get a translation somewhere, because I'm curious as to what they mean. Da-da-da. So that's his friend. Okay, so some of the translated phrases include, but this is a thing, a couple of crazy people, maybe a party, but everything is blue, blue because I'm on a trip. I'm here, but I'm not here. I know my body is here, but my head is out there flying out there. I'm right here with my buddies, my friends, whatever you want to call them, my scenes, so say hello to them. The rest of the final verse aren't that very clear. And something like, and who is that woman? You know what woman? So it's basically in
Kinda
snippets.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That does make sense.
Yeah, and I mean, at one point in the song, he does realize, wait a minute, I know I'm in the field of grass, and I'm just having this strange dream. I'm aware, but I'm not aware.
Fun fact, nobody in my generation calls it grass anymore.
Well, he is lying in a field of grass.
Yeah, but in reference to weed, no one in my generation calls it grass anymore.
What's it called?
The only thing I can think of is from Vine, where there are these marijuana pencils, and this daughter looks at her dad and goes, "Dad, look, it's the good kush." And her dad looks at her and goes, "This is the dollar store. How good can it be?" All right.
But yeah, this is just always kind of thrown me that this would be on an Animals retrospective. But I'd say maybe one Alan Klein figured, I think I can make a little money off of this. Yeah, I'm going to put it on here.
It's always Alan Klein's fault.
It always is.
Overall, the Animals are okay. I like their music, but some of the lyrics were either hit or miss with me, depending on the subject matter. They almost feel like the Kinks' little siblings.
I can kind of see that.
Yeah, and while the Kinks aren't my favorite band, I do think I like them more than the Animals. So I don't think I listened to this album again, just songs by other band with similar themes, except that Greaser song, though. That was great.
Yeah, overall, I think it's a great comprehensive collection. I would highly recommend it to anyone out there. And you bring up an interesting point with the Kings comparison, because I think, yeah, they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but also they're one of those bands who tends to get overlooked when people say British invasion. I think it's like they're kind of like on the second invasion force.
The tail end?
Not so much the tail end, but as the
Oh,
second,
you mean
the
like
second wave.
when Bowie came in and everybody else came in?
Well, I put them on the second wave, like, you know.
Queen?
No, Queen was in the 70s.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like, we're talking like 60s, like 64, 65, like I don't know if I put the Kinks on the first wave or the second wave.
Well, they couldn't get into America for a while, so let's go with the second wave.
Yeah, I guess I put the Animals in with the second wave because the first is definitely going to be, you know, the holy trinity of Beatles, Stones, Who.
Yeah.
And
that's it.
and then, you know, you get the second wave of, like, you know, Dave Clark, Kinks, Animals. Then there's probably a third wave. And
Well,
maybe that's
Bowie
it.
didn't come out until, like, what, 1969?
Yeah.
With Space Oddity. So
Yeah.
does that count as a third wave, or is that like something different? Like we're going into the 70s
little
now?
late to the party.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, though he was putting out stuff before then.
Yeah, but it wasn't as well known.
Popular in England.
Laughing
gnome.
We don't talk about that.
No. Even though I do have it on tape, and
I still won't listen to it. I refuse.
Okay. Yeah, it just kind of like, you know, they're out there, but they're overlooked. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, I kind of think I know maybe one or two songs. I mean, the one song everyone's going to know is The House of Rising Sun.
Oh yeah, and it's been used in movies too, hasn't it?
I'm sure it has.
It's been used in something. I just can't remember what. And on that note of me not being able to remember, thank you as always for listening to another episode of My Dad Listens to This. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. I post all the episodes on social media, and if you want the episodes through my dad, he can email them right to your inbox. We'll be back next time with another album to nitpick and gripe about, and happy Valentine's Day, everybody. We hope you have a good day.
And rest in peace, Hilton Valentine.
Rest in peace, Hilton Valentine. Have a good night, everyone.